Well, good morning and welcome to Cup of Faith for this Wednesday, December the 15th. 10 days until Christmas Day. And how's it going for you? Has it been a busy, hectic time? Maybe you're like Brenda, my wife, um, who had trouble getting to sleep last night thinking about everything that she still has to do. Maybe you have year-end work projects. There are deadlines and Christmas is almost an interruption to those. Maybe you have family coming or you're going to be traveling and there's some hecticness. Is that even a word? Well, it is now. But there's just so many dynamics that happen with this time of year. I do want to remind you, before I forget, of a couple of things. First of all, I keep forgetting to tell you why I sometimes wear a hat and why I don't. And the reason I do is because I sometimes have terrible morning hair. And I just don't, excuse me, I just don't want to subject you to that. So that's the story on the hat. But something even more important is that we do have our Christmas Eve candlelight service on December the 24th, and we have 3 scheduled opportunities for you and your family to come, and you register for those online on our website. Please do that. Maybe you're thinking of staying home just because it's easier and you can watch it online. But let me tell you is that if you have the opportunity or the option at all to attend live and in person, there's nothing like being there together with family and friends and the rest of our congregation. And I can promise you that our music teams and everybody that's involved with candlelight service and the planning, they're putting a lot of work into it and would love to have you there watching live and in person. And my family's going to be there, at least the ones that are coming home this year. It's in-law year for us this year, and that means that at New Year's we'll have all our family together. Okay, let's talk a little bit more. Think for a moment of some of the Christmas gifts that you have gotten over the years, maybe as a child. Well, the truth of the matter is that we probably remember very few of our gifts. I'm not even sure I can remember what I got last year, and I hate to say that because Brenda puts time and effort into those gifts, and but I do have a hard time remembering, and but I do remember a gift that I got as a child, and we were living in Trenton, Ontario. My dad was military, and he was raising us. We were raised in a single-parent home, and he was a corporal, so he wasn't making very much money at all. And as we were looking towards Christmas, we had gone through the Sears Christmas catalog and picked out the things that we would dream about having, and we were told that we had to write a list and put it in the mail for Santa Claus, and we did that. And on my list was a toboggan, and my dad was aware of this, and he said, well, there's no way we're going to be able to get a toboggan. We just can't afford it. Okay, well, you put that expectation aside, but you're still excited. Sure enough, Christmas Day, there was a toboggan there. One of the most memorable gifts I ever got. And loved it and played with it and sled on it and all the things you do with the toboggan. And I really cherished it because I knew that the Santa had given us this gift that my dad couldn't afford. A few days later, I was talking to a friend of mine, one of my best friends who lived across the street, and I guess we would have been about 10 years old at this time, and he was telling me that, well, there is no Santa Claus, and I became one of the greatest apologists of all time in defense of the existence of Santa Claus, and telling him that, I got a toboggan, and there was no way my dad could afford it, and I still got it, so it must have come from Santa Claus. So anyway, that's just a little story about me and a gift that I remembered, and I think we all have them. Now, one of the things about Christmas gifts, and there are great gifts, and there are memorable gifts, and there are bad gifts, and there are some, like we open it up, and what do we do with this? I don't even know what it is. And maybe we could even call those gifts manna gifts. Now, why would I call it manna? Because the literal meaning of the word manna is, what is it? The Israelites, when they were in the desert and they were wandering and they needed something to eat and they cried out about how hungry they were, God gave them manna, and they saw all this manna all over the place on the ground, but they didn't know what it is, so they said, what is it? And so they called it manna. Maybe some of our gifts are what is it gifts. Well, God gave us a gift. 2,700 years ago, he promised us that we would have a gift. And 700 years later, he fulfilled that gift 2,000 years ago. And the promise came 2,700 years ago through a prophet named Isaiah, and it said his name will be called Emmanuel, meaning God with us. The name Emmanuel describes his nature, his attributes. Now, we call him Jesus, but in the prophet saying his name would be called Emmanuel, it says this is the fulfillment of the name is that we will have this child born of a virgin, and that he will be God with us. And to quote the great television chef personality Martha Stewart, and it's a good thing, that God saw our need even 2,700 years ago, and he knew we needed him to be with us, and therefore he gave us the gift of the birth of his son Jesus, born in the flesh, born of a woman, fully human. And it's a good thing. It's interesting that as the birth of Jesus is first announced, there was a lot of fear because of the presence and the glory of God through the angels. And they were afraid because they thought, if God's showing up like this, it must mean I'm in a lot of trouble. But it wasn't. It was good news. And here are 4 things that I'd like to present to you today to let you know why I feel that this is good news. Emmanuel, God with us. Not in any particular order, but let me give them to you. First of all, because God is with us, we have the presence and the awareness of God. He abides with us. He walks with us. He's aware of us. Therefore, we are never alone. I have often cited the Old Testament story of a woman named Hagar who had been pushed out of her household by her husband and with their boy, and out into the desert. And as she has run out of food and she runs out of water, and she just sobs because she is alone and she is afraid, and she only thinks that death is the next thing to happen. And yet God shows up through an angel and says, look up, there's water there. Go back home. You're okay. Even in our desert moments, in our times where we feel this abandonment, we are never alone, and God is aware of our plight. The next thing about God with us is that there is comfort. Our pain is healed, and we are embraced, and we are not rejected. I know that for a lot of us, this is going to be a precarious time. It's going to be a season of our first year of loss without someone we've lost. For some of us, it's been several years, but the pain hasn't fully left. We still remember those people, we love those people, we long for those people, and we will be going through all of the joys and the celebrations of Christmas with some dread and some pain. But God with us means that he comforts us, and he does not push us away. A third thing that it's a good thing that God is with us is hope. in difficult times. We've had a difficult season. It's been a difficult couple of years. But we still have hope. We are not the first civilization to face difficult times, and some have lasted much longer and been much more oppressive than ours. But we still feel constrained. We still feel out of sorts. We still wonder, is this ever going to end? But we have hope. We have hope. We have a better tomorrow is waiting for us. It's the promise of God that because He is with us, there is a better tomorrow that is waiting for us. And just to go back to our last point, if we're feeling that we're in those times of despair and brokenness and hurt over loss or over health or over finances, whatever it is, that we have hope that a better tomorrow is waiting. And lastly, the fourth one, that it's a good thing that God is with us, is because there is help. We are rescued in every way. We are not abandoned. I don't know if you ever see yourself like in a ship on the sea, and you feel like it's just the wind and the waves are buffeting. And much like last week, like I tried to relay, and I wish I could have done a better job, of the Apostle Paul and those hundreds of men on a ship after days and days of storms, and the waves just keep pounding the boat, and you've cut the lifeboat away, and that was the only thing you thought might even work. Well, there is still help. We are still rescued. In one sense, it's about us internally, and we look at ourselves, and sometimes when we look in the mirror, we're not happy with what we see. We have a certain amount of shame. We remember things we've done. We remember things we have said. We remember things that have bound us or are still binding us. And we are rescued. When God came in the form of Jesus, we are rescued from our past. We are rescued from our nature. We are rescued from our behaviors. We're rescued from our regrets. We are rescued. We are rescued from difficult seasons, difficult situations. We are rescued in every way. We are not abandoned. So I leave you those things today with the good news that there was a promise given to us and a promise fulfilled. His name is to be called Emmanuel. That will be his character, meaning God is with us. Bless you today, my friends. Cheers. Enjoy your cup of faith this Christmas season. Know that we love you, we think of you, we pray for you, and trust you do the same for us. Bye-bye.